I will do the full list of introductions to spare subsequent speakers the need to do it. Your Excellency, my good friend, Mr. Nikos Christodoulides, Foreign Minister of the Republic of Cyprus, Chief Rabbi Ephraim Mirvis of the United Hebrew Congregations of the Commonwealth, Your Excellency, Mr. Evriviadis, High Commissioner for the Republic of Cyprus, Your Excellency, Ambassador for Greece, the Ambassador for Iraq, the Ambassador of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Right Honourable and Honourable Members of Parliament, my Lords, Councillors, representatives of the embassies of Israel and Serbia, former Ambassador of Cyprus to UNESCO, Mema Levendis, my good friend the Chief Executive of the Board, Gillian Merron, my good friend the President of the World Federation of Overseas Cypriots, Andreas Papaverdidis, distinguished guests from the Jewish and Cypriot communities. It is an honour to welcome you all to this evening's event on behalf of the National Federation of Cypriots. I'd like to pay a special tribute of thanks and congratulations to the recently appointed Foreign Minister of the Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Nikos Christodoulides, who, despite his very busy CHOGM schedule, made time to speak this evening. He is a long-standing friend and supporter of the Cypriot diaspora, and especially our community here in London, given his role as Consul General in a very, very former life. Tonight's event serves to remind us all of the intertwined history that our two people, Cypriots and Jews, have shared over the years. The connection between our two peoples goes back millennia and predates either modern-day Israel or Cyprus. Soldiers from Cyprus served in the Judean army in 600 BC. And it is also worth remembering that the founder of the Church of Cyprus and its first Archbishop, St. Barnabas, was a Cypriot Jew, and his saint's day is celebrated annually on June the 11th. More recently, it was Cypriots who provided support to the 53,000 Jews who were interned in Cyprus between 1947 and 49, when Britain was Cyprus's colonial power, something that the Cyprus High Commission, Embassy of Israel, National Federation and Board of Deputies commemorated with a joint event last January. In Cyprus in 2014, 65 years after the camps were closed, a garden of peace was created in Xylodimbu on the east coast of Cyprus, where one of the camps was located. It is therefore a particular privilege to be continuing this historic collaboration between the Cypriot and Jewish people through our partnership with the Board of Deputies of British Jews and the Commonwealth Jewish Committee, the umbrella bodies for our respective diasporas here in the UK. Our British-based diasporas are equally sized, about 300,000 each, and have large concentrations in the same areas of North and East London, and the issues that concern our communities are broadly similar. By continuing to strengthen and formalise the already existing bonds of friendship between our two communities, the sum of our influence, and indeed the success of our collective efforts, will be greater than either one of us alone. This is especially important in times when xenophobia, racism, and anti-Semitism are on the rise across Europe, and we must do our utmost to reverse this deeply worrying trend. Therefore, I look forward to continuing to deepen this collaboration over the months and years to come. With those few words, I'd like to say Evharisto and Toda Rabba, and hand over to Gillian.
Thank you very much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Gillian Merron, Chief Executive of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, and delighted to be here alongside our colleagues from the National Federation of Cypriots in the UK, alongside our friends in the Commonwealth Jewish Council. Also, and it is my great pleasure to add to the warm welcome to tonight's occasion, which we have brought together, being as it's the 2018 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, otherwise known as CHOGM, and so it seems particularly appropriate that we join together tonight. I myself am a former parliamentarian and had the honour of serving Her Majesty's government as a minister in various departments, including the Foreign Office. So I know only too well of the importance of the Commonwealth for the United Kingdom and how important a time this is for us as everybody comes to our country. A special thank you I would like to extend on all of our behalf to the Foreign Minister of Cyprus and also to Chief Rabbi Ephraim Mirvis of the United Hebrew Congregations of the Commonwealth. I thank you both for attending this evening as our extremely honoured guests. A few words about Chief Rabbi Ephraim Mirvis. The Chief Rabbi is only the 11th Chief Rabbi since the office was introduced in 1704. Installed on the 1st of September 2013, this was not just a special occasion for our Chief Rabbi, but it was a historic ceremony attended by His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. Why was it so historic? Because this marked the first time that a member of the royal family had ever attended a service for the installation of a Chief Rabbi. Notably, also, Chief Rabbi Mirvis has also served as Chief Rabbi of Ireland, which he did between 1985 and 1992. And Minister, we thank you for being such a strong friend of the Jewish community. We know that you were very recently appointed into your role on March the 1st. That is very recent. But that you have already visited Israel. And as you say, of course you have. And we're delighted to hear that. Friends, the occasion of tonight's event is to celebrate the tremendous contribution of our Cypriot and Jewish community's contribution to the Commonwealth. The history of our two peoples, as you've already heard, goes back centuries. Ever since trade relations were established between Cyprus and the land of Israel as early as the 3rd century BCE, there has been a Jewish presence in Cyprus. And Cyprus has played a crucial role in our Jewish history in modern times as well, specifically in the last 200 years. After the rise of Nazism in 1933, hundreds of Jews escaped to Cyprus, finding safe haven. And following the dissolution of the concentration camps on the European continent, thousands of Holocaust survivors stayed in detention camps in Cyprus before being allowed to enter Israel. Politically speaking, our two ancient peoples have established strong ties in the Eastern Mediterranean, and the State of Israel, as we know, has established a very close alliance with Cyprus. And strategically, Cyprus has shown how committed it is to its alliance with Israel, which rests upon a bond of common and shared values. Cyprus remains a strong supporter of the Jewish state in international circles, for which we express gratitude. However, it is not only in the Eastern Mediterranean that our two peoples have thrived and collaborated. In the UK, Jewish and Cypriot diaspora communities have lived peacefully side by side in many boroughs of London, and indeed we work and we play together, as regulars to Spurs and Arsenal can tell you. On that very happy note, let me invite Chief Rabbi Ephraim Mirvis to address us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gillian. This is a truly splendid occasion this evening. Minister, thank you for the privilege that you're according to us through gracing this event through your presence. And Lord Mendelsohn and everybody representing the Commonwealth Jewish Council, thank you for everything that you do in order to strengthen the bond that exists within the Commonwealth Jewish communities. And Gillian and everybody from the board, it's wonderful that yet again you're putting on a tremendous event of great significance for us, together, of course, with the leaders of the Cypriot Federation in this country. The earliest reference in any Jewish writings to Cyprus appears in the Talmud. Reference is given to Yain Kafrisin, wine from Cyprus. Wine from Cyprus was used on a daily basis in the temple in Jerusalem. The Kohanim, the priests, sought to find the greatest quality wine available in order to steep some of the spices in it to make their aroma more pungent when it came to their usage in the incense that was offered in the temple. So isn't it remarkable that during the period of the Second Temple, that there was that close relationship through trade that had existed between Cyprus and the Holy Land, to the extent that Cypriot wine was not only known but was appreciated and was considered to be the best of all wine. Now, fascinatingly, in Cyprus today it is estimated there are 650 Jewish families headed by Rabbi Raskin, and in honor of Passover this year, for the very first time, he made kosher wine to make it easier for those Jewish families to have wine for the festival, and he called it Yain Kafrisid, the same name given in the Talmud. And I'm told by a particular site that I found on Google, that the quality of Yain Kafrisid that Rabbi Raskin has produced rivals the quality of the best of wines in Cyprus today. Wine is actually a drink of significance in our tradition. It's the king of all drinks. And in Jewish tradition, we imbibe them. And what's interesting is that when it comes to fruit juices and vegetable juices, the juices are downgraded because there are special blessings for the fruit and for the vegetables, but the juices that come from them, orange juice, apple juice, tomato juice, they have a general blessing, not the specific blessing. Lose their honor and their status, with one exception only, and that's not only is grape juice special, it's elevated to actually have an important blessing of its own, one of our most significant blessings, which is Borei Kriagatin, which we make in order to sanctify the Sabbath day, festivals, a bride and groom at the time of their wedding, and all special Jewish occasions are made sacred through the usage of wine. So whereas all other drinks become downgraded, grape juice, wine, becomes elevated. And I believe that that's a symbol for what we're celebrating today. It's the connection between Israel and Cyprus, the connection between Jewish communities around the world and those from Cyprus. And just to hear reference to the Cyprus diaspora, that term diaspora, which is so meaningful for us, is also meaningful for yourselves. And we share so much and with great friendship. Like wine, things can only get better, can become more elevated. Our bonds can become strengthened in a far more meaningful way, as is expressed through to the delight that everybody here has to merge together, to celebrate together. And in my travels throughout the Commonwealth, I see some remarkable Jewish communities. And the Commonwealth binds them together in a very special way. And this is reflective of the Commonwealth as a whole, which is a most remarkable organization, taking disparate and far-flung nations into one single bonded entity, which is represented by Chagam this week, which is a very special occasion that's being celebrated in London. So in this spirit, we appreciate the coming together of people, unity, peace, and cooperation in order to draw together the best of what we have, so that altogether we can produce something very precious for all of our societies. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to bless you all, to thank you for the friendship, and to hope, as indeed I will know this is the case, that the Jewish and the Cypriot connection will only go from strength to greater strength in the future.
I just want to briefly say a few words. As the President of the Commonwealth Jewish Council, we are marking the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which has got a wonderful title, it's Heads of Government. But the actual summit itself that is being held here, as the case of many others, has a huge component of people. There's a People's Forum which represents civil society, there are women, there are youth, and there are businesses now, the business leaders, to try and build greater links between people. So even though this still has a traditional name, it is something which is about bringing together people. And I think that any of those activities, and having attended some of those forward, where we see people finding new ways to connect and finding new ways to cooperate, anything that brings together people is a good thing. And I have to say that, for me, it's a great tribute to the National Federation of Cypriots in the UK, and indeed the Board of Deputies, who have come together, have built a great partnership. And I look forward to further activities and playing our role as well to try and encourage those, because I think there is nothing more important than the links that we can build together, as peoples, as nations. but also as diasporas. And the historic connection that the Jews and the Cypriots have had is remarkable in its depth of history. There are very few other contexts like that at all in the Commonwealth. So for us, it's been a great pleasure to be part of this. The Commonwealth is a modern instrument. It's not a piece of history. It derives from history. It is in many ways traditional values in a modern setting. We are talking about something which binds people together through a sense of what common endeavour can be to build a better future for all our kids. And so in that regard, it's a very particular honour to have had you, Chief Rabbi, one of the great leaders of Jewry in the world, to be here today. And it's a great honour to have you as the Chief Rabbi of the Commonwealth. Mr. Foreign Minister, it's a great honour to have you here and to be here to give real strength to the work that's going on in this country and between other peoples. I only have one thing to say to you, which is that your High Commissioner is very well regarded. So he's not here. He's doing a terrific job. So when you see him, do encourage him. He's got a lot of friends in Parliament and is doing a very, very good job. I would only, other than that, say one other thing, which is to thank everyone for coming, from the Jewish community, from the Cypriot community, and also the distinguished guests from Parliament and from the other diplomatic missions. It's a great honour also to have those people participating in something which expands the horizon of people who can be involved in this modern day endeavour of common values.
It's coming up.
Shall I repeat it?
Yes.
You can tell him later. You can tell him. So I wish greater success to everything that he's done in the name of the Commonwealth and in building the cooperation and links between the Cypriot and the Jewish community. Thank you.
Chief Rabbi Ephraim, High Commissioner, Ambassadors, dear friends, tonight is a celebration of Cypriot and Jewish communities in the Commonwealth, of the unique historical bond of friendship between our two communities that has shined bright even in the darkest of times. It is also a celebration and reaffirmation of our common vision and desire to firmly attach our ties in the future, to enable them to blossom by working together, learning from each other, and creating synergies within the Commonwealth and beyond. Ours is a gathering, a celebration that is timely. Upon the commemoration of the 70th anniversary of the establishment of the State of Israel, it also comes at a time when the closeness and depth of the relation between the Cypriot and Jewish communities is at an unprecedented level, and as we are called to find ways to further deepen them to our mutual benefit. The Commonwealth provides a most fertile context in which to grow further together. As one of the world's oldest political associations, born from the ashes of the Second World War, its purpose has been to be compelling forces of good, an effective network for cooperation, promotion of international understanding, peace, embracing diversity, but also shared history and tradition. A momentous point to our history comes following the Second World War, when Cypriots were deeply touched by the drama of survivors escaping the horror of the Holocaust and were inspired by their determination to create a better life. For around 53,000 Jews, Cyprus was the final frontier on a journey to the Promised Land, a port of call but also confinement during their exodus from the concentration camps to a free and better life. The human stories of how they were embraced by Cypriots offer shelter in every sense of the word are truly touching. More than 2,200 children were born in camps in Cyprus. Until this day, many of them return and are welcomed to their place of birth. The solidarity exhibited by the Cypriots toward Jewish refugees played its small part in contributing to many refugees' restoration of their shattered belief in fundamental human dignity and good. In modern history, both our peoples have suffered displacement, loss, and persecution. So we take the lessons of the Jewish people to heart and stand in deep solidarity with the Jewish people. In Cyprus, the memory of the survivors of the horrors of the Shoah, but also the perseverance of Jewish survivors to build new lives and to create the state that will welcome them from across the world, is boldly engraved in our collective memory. It is this kind of perseverance that Cypriots displayed following the Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974, when we were forcibly displaced from our homes, towns and villages and had to rebuild our lives and our country from nothing. The Commonwealth presents challenges but also opportunities for our communities. Cypriots, but even more so Jewish communities, are spread across the various corners of the Commonwealth, in some places limited to only a handful of families. But no matter where we are, and no matter how few we are connected by a seamless web of common values. In these circumstances, we are called to support one another, to address challenges and to develop our communities. This is where exceptional organizations such as the Board of Deputies, the voice of the British Jewish community, the Commonwealth Jewish Council, which gives voice to the concerns and positions of the Commonwealth Jewish communities from Lesotho to Sri Lanka to St. Lucia and Antigua, and the National Federation of Cypriots, which was founded shortly after the illegal Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974, to give voice to the now 300,000 strong UK Cypriot community, coming to play as a key players in efforts, including the efforts of the Israeli and the Cypriot government, in addressing common challenges, but also building synergies. Dear friends, I referred earlier to how far our relationship has come in recent years, how it has exponentially grown, not by chance, but by choice. We are very proud of how we have taken the historical and cultural affinity between our people to the level of strategic cooperation between Cyprus and Israel. Our closeness now extends to more than geography and includes cooperation in an array of fields: contacts, diaspora, energy, economic exchange, security, and defense. Our cooperation is indeed strategic. Israel, Cyprus, and Greece, I see here the ambassador of Greece, have been implementing their vision for the region of the Eastern Mediterranean and have established a trilateral cooperation mechanism with frequent exchange of high-level meetings and contacts among our leadership on a wide array of issues that are indicative of the depth and multitude of our shared agenda. People-to-people contacts, combating the evil of antisemitism, is at the heart of this agenda. In closing, I would like to thank all of you for attending today's event and to extend my sincere gratitude to the organizers, the National Federation of Cypriots in the UK, with whom I had the honor and privilege to work closely with during my time as Consul General at our High Commission, the Board of Deputies, and the Commonwealth Jewish Council. Chief Rabbi Ephraim, your personal admirable history and invaluable work, your presence here, which symbolize the power of interfaith cooperation and dialogue which you have championed, gives inspiration and impetus to our collective efforts. Thank you very much.